Hello, storytelling Ron. I'm going to go over the game again and again and again because I just love doing this. Okay, Overlord RPG, Christians in Space. Let me explain the game to you guys. You know, if you get the this is the Christians in Space one. It's got all the characters and how to make them and all that stuff. I'm just going to show you how to make a character. And here's a list of like spells, and I kind of break it down into the different classes, but I keep it really simple. But let me show you a character. Let me just pull this guy up here. This is the character sheet. Very simple. You split up the trait numbers just like ability scores in Dungeons and Dragons. I just go right to the +2, +3, +4. I don't even do the 3 to 18 or anything. You don't have to roll, and you get a certain amount of numbers, and you just put them in. Here's the, let's see, where's the list of the numbers? Right here, right here. +3, +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. And you just put it in the traits, and these traits equate to D&D or OSR, so it's immediately translatable to all those games. I mean, I could play this character in D&D, just so you all know, or I'm pretty sure I could. I mean, I guess I'd have to adjust a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I could. Now, and these are all, the prowess is strength, you know, awareness is dexterity, and the reason I chose awareness is because, to me, you know, in doing this medieval armored combat, I just thought about it, and thought about when I fight others. What is it? It's not really the strongest guy that's the best fighter. It's the one that knows how to use their prowess and strength. So it's not the big muscles guys that they're always the better fighters. It's the one that can use their dexterity, use their agility, use their aggression, all kind of combined. That's, to me, so that's why I call it prowess instead of strength. And same with awareness. To me, it wasn't the most dexterous person that's a really good fighter or able to dodge or defend. It's the one that was had just more situational awareness. It was more had their head on a swivel. That's the one. It wasn't. It could have been a fat pudgy person. Anyway, that's what that is. Savvy is my God. What is savvy? I forgot all the traits. I don't use Constitution. To me, Constitution is prowess and spirit, like one or the other. Like you can choose which one to use. Savvy is, to me, the like thief skills, like picking locks, but it's also maintenance. It's like I consider myself to be very savvy. Like I can do recording, I can do drawing, I can do all these different things. So I'm kind of quick to learn things. That's what savvy is. Spirit is wisdom. Intellect is intelligence for more high-end stuff, and social is, it can be anything from performing, musical performance to trade to talking. You kind of focus on, which skills you want that to be. In this game, you can come up with any skill you want. I want to do sewing. Okay, sewing is a intellect, because intellect is crafting. And I want to do sewing and academics. Okay, that's both intellect, because you're going to use your intellect trait, Or you can say, you can do combat. And in my books, I have a list of suggestions for the different traits, what you can do, and also I break it down to the different classes and what the different skills you might want to have. Okay, so you can do that, or you can make up your own. Like that's what I want. I want you to kind of look at these, decide which ones you want to use, and then even branch out from there as you play the game and as you start doing different things. And you start off in these classes so you can get, for a pilot, driver, techie, you're going to have awareness, savvy, and intellect being your main ones you want to have high traits to start off with, and then you get to pick skills at 2 die ranks and 1 die rank. So what are the die ranks? That's what I'm going to get to next, and that's in OSRs. You could translate the die ranks as just +2. If it's +2 die ranks, you could just say +2, and you could just add that as your bonus to your skill in the OSRs, in the regular role-playing games. So that's what it equates to. In my game, though, I use die ranks because it solves the getting to 5th and 7th and 10th level, where your character kind of becomes overpowered. In my game, you can keep playing the character if you use the die rank method. Okay, so I'll explain that right now. So as you can see here, this person has a laser pistol, Meduse. This is one of the character players in my Christians in Space game. And just so you know, he has 82 glory points, which is like experience points, whereas some other guys have 140 right, or whatever, glory points, they can play in the same game. A new player right now could jump in the game, and these guys have been playing for 70, 80 episodes now, and they can play with them and still deal with the same things. That's how I solved it with his die ranks. That's what these die ranks refer to. So what are the die ranks? So this person has laser pistol, basically +5. See 2 and +3 there. If you wanted to translate it to a regular role-playing game. But in my game, he's got 2 from his awareness, which actually should be 3 now. Let me fix that for him. And this guy's a new player kind of, but he's been over here for a while, but he's out right now in the summertime. But anyway, 3 + 3 die ranks. So in utility axe, wow, this guy is not. I gotta look at this guy's stuff because I haven't. It should be 3 because its prowess is 3. Boy, he did not improve those when he because he you can see he put a lot into his traits. He upgraded his traits with the glory points here. Anyway, well, I should have looked at this. But anyway, so I'm fixing it right now. So he's got 3 + 3, so he's got +6 laser pistol when he's shooting. But instead he's got 3 for the awareness and 3 for the die ranks. What are the die ranks? The die ranks just start off very, very fun and simple as die rank 1 is a D4, right? So that's D4, and then D6 is die rank 2, and 3 die ranks is a D8. Here, let me show you right here. All right, this right here are my little fun tools I use. It's kind of small on the screen, but these are the die ranks, and so 1 die rank is a D4, 2 die ranks is a D6, 3 die ranks is a D8, and these are free. If you guys are playing with Foundry or whatever, and you need a script and you want to use one of these, I'll give them to you, for free. I use like Chat AI or GPT to make these. It was a pretty fun, interesting process. But D8. Okay, so die rank. If you have 4 die ranks, you get a D10. So what does that mean? You get your +3, say for his shooting. He gets a D10 and he rolls a D20. Okay, and let me show you more. 5 die ranks to D12. Now, when you go past 5 die ranks, you go in. You start starting over again. So 6 die ranks, see, is a D12, D4. So every 5 die ranks is another D12. Well, what does that mean? You get a dice pool, you roll, and you just keep the highest. Okay, this solves the issue of a constant number when you grow up in skill ranks or whatever, and with magic items and blessings or whatever else, and you add that all together and you get like a +17 to hit, or whatever, and it's very unbalanced. But if you have die ranks, it starts to create that whole bell curve, And let me show you real quick right now. All right, this tool right here rolls a D20. It rolls a D20 plus your trait. So let's say +3, and then let's say they have a D12 and a D12. That's 10 die ranks right there, and a D8 is 3, right? So 13 die ranks, because there's a 5 for the first D12, 5 for the second D12, and then 3 for the third, which is a D8. So this person is basically adding up all these die ranks. Why? How come? Because they've got skill. Maybe the cleric blessed them for aiming or whatever. I bless you, may you hit your target. Maybe they got a super high-end rifle or gun, with 5 die ranks in it. Because I'm very charitable as a GM. I pretend that I'm trying to kill them all, but in truth, I start giving them all these cool, awesome, upgraded things. Maybe it's got a scope. Maybe it's got ammo that has +2 die ranks of accuracy, in it. So I tend to give them a whole bunch of stuff, or they, that's their goal, right? Their goal is to go around and get upgrades from all the different places they go to. That's sort of what I fixate on as a GM and they as players in this game. Just always getting upgrades and getting more and more stuff. But that's D&D too. That's OSR. So you're always trying to find treasures and all that. So let's just say that this person has 13 die ranks for this shot, or whatever they're doing. It could be, it could be an upgrade. It could be engineering stuff. It could be repairing stuff. It could be, whatever else, researching. But let's roll. I'm going to do the same roll a few times here, just so you and I can both see. So remember, it's only going to keep the highest. Now we do have an exploding rule, which is fun. That's what I like about this dice pool too. I get the best of both worlds. We get D20 rolls, nat 1, nat 20, and we get dice pools so we can get a couple of variations on rolls. which are really fun. And I only give them the positive ones. I can do some negative ones too, but I haven't, just because I'm a sucker for being nice. Okay, so let's roll. 17. Well, see, so 17 and a 7 is 27, or that plus 3 is 27. Did not count the 3 other 2 because they didn't explode. If you roll a 7 or above it, it's exploding. So 27 is probably a success. All right, let's do it again. Same roll. Now, probably will be an amazing success again, but whatever. Roll it again. Okay, 14 and a 3, 20. So still kind of high, still probably a success in whatever they're doing. But this roll could have been for an engineering thing, which are usually 22s or 24s, like difficulty with their intellect, you know. So they could have failed. But close. I would have not been a total failure. I would have said something, you know, more costly or took a lot longer, something like that. Or you can do it again, but you get a little bit of a bonus. But 23. Okay, so we're rolling. We're getting in the 20s right now. Let me just do it again. I mean, 15 die ranks obviously is a desire for being successful most of the time. 14. So roll the 14 that time, which is probably a failure. Oh, no, it explodes. Sorry. So you add the 7 is a 21. So you get the exploding dice. Granted, this is meant to succeed, right? You're meant to, but I've had plenty fail. Not averagely. There's a failure. 15. See, so that's a 15. That's actually a failure. You know, if they're trying to get a 20 or 21 or 22. Well, 22 is usually the especially for high upgrade stuff. And but this is as you can see, it rolled an 8 and a 4. Plus 3 is 15. So they failed this one. So they can fail. They can fail. And again, it's about 1 out of 4 they'll fail, or 1 out of 5, whatever. You know, there's some math in there. But I spread the chance of success and failure is you're still averaging up higher as you get more and more die ranks, but the variety of results is much greater, and thusly the solve here is that I can attack them with the same type of creatures and robots and monsters that I attacked them when they first started playing after 80 episodes, and it's still an issue for them because as you can see as well, their vitality doesn't go up that much. So let me get a higher ranked, one of the highest ranked dudes here, Mandabra. So this guy, he only has 19 vitality, and look, he's at 13 right now. We're playing a game right now. He's got 154 glory points. He's got some, you know, plus 5. The plus 1 here is from something, I don't know what, something, his hammer, something special, because it's very rare to get a plus 1 type of upgrade, but it's common to get plus 1 die rank, plus 2 die rank, plus 3 die rank. Anyway, he's got plus 5 die ranks to hit. He's got all these extra bonus damages here for their stuff, and those are die ranks, but he just put them into as dice, because they're all from separate things. But he's got some special holy stuff and all that. But anyway, this is the most powerful character. But the other character, but if you were a new guy, you came in, you would still be in this game. You know, you would still be helpful, and you could even save the day. You know, and you wouldn't just get blown away because of one of the creatures they're fighting just turns around and kills you. I mean, that creature could be dangerous to everybody, including this guy. You know? So that's what I love about this game, and the die ranks is is what that's all about. I suppose it looks a little daunting at first to do die ranks, and I get that. So, but it's the solve. It's the solve for later games. It's easy to just go plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4. That's, hey, I get that. You know, it's easy, and it's the quick sell. I get it. It's the easy sell, the quick sell. But what it doesn't do, as we Christians love, is give you a long, epic storyline with the same character. We don't just reach 10th level and throw away this character. You get to play this character. You know, you could die, but you get to play this character for a long time and in a long story, epic story arc. If the character survives, but because there's death here too. But that's the die ranks, and everything can have die ranks. Everything in the game. Let me find another character here. Everything has die ranks so that you can go up in the die ranks here in the damage, and then to hit. This damage here relate to die ranks. So she could have a 3D sniper rifle that's D12. She could have one that's that's six. That's 5 die ranks right here. 5 die ranks. It could be 6 die ranks. D12, comma D4, and so she rolls both of those and picks the highest. She could have it be 10 die ranks, so it's 2 D12s and pick the highest. So chance for even higher damage. Everything in there can add die ranks to it, and it's very it's safe as a GM because of the dice pool, because they only pick the highest of the rolls. And their averages go up, but it's not constantly a constant going up. So that's why I use die ranks, and I love it for the skills. She's got a bunch of skills here she's picking. They're all pretty low. 1 die rank. This is a new character. Look, she only got 21. She's only got 21 die ranks, so she's just started, and she's playing with Mandevraw, who's got 150 die ranks, and totally fine. And by the way, because she has so few, whenever I give them glory points, she gets twice as much. So she, to catch up. So that's the simplicity. I hope I'm explaining this well. The simplicity of the game mechanics of the die ranks. What else? The list of weapons. As you can see, the damage is very similar to D&D and OSRs. The burden is what they can carry. So a character can carry here 2 heavies, 3 mediums, 4 lights. Makes it easy. I let them carry some other stuff too. They have a holster, and they might have notes for extra gear that they can't immediately use, but they can go get. On the transport or in the cart next to them or whatever. So there's that. If they carry more on themselves that they can immediately access, then I give them a penalty to their rolls, or they get a penalty. But the penalty, and just so you know, if the characters will get penalties for their rolls, like if they're overburdened or if they're wounded. You get wounded on a nat 20, and then for every 2 hit points of damage you take, you get a wound. If you go above 5, you die automatically. So that there is a grim reality to this. But if you're at a penalty of -4 die ranks, and there's temporary minus die ranks too, like if you're stunned, you can get -4 die ranks, but you can get -6 die ranks, but you won't die from it like you would from a grievous wound at -6 die ranks. But they both equate to the same thing in the sense of what do they do with it if they're at -6 die ranks stunned, let's say. Here's the easy thing about that. The player doesn't have to do anything with that. They just roll their normal rolls. The GM gets to take it and add it to their, opponent. Like the defense of the opponent or the attack of the opponent. They get to add the 6 die ranks added to their roll to attack them because they're stunned. Or if they're grievously wounded, from 1 to 5 die ranks, they basically have a gash, a bad wound that makes them in pain, limping, whatever. And the person can easily hit them. I'll give them 5 die ranks or whatever. But I can only use the 5 die rank penalty or whatever the penalty is once per turn on one thing against them, not everything. Just to be nice, just game mechanic, and for simplicity's sake on my end, I get to use it once on them, no matter what happens. Other things happen to them or attacks, whatever. I mean, that's the way it should work. But that's the simple, easy, fun way of working that. So they can get penalty die, and that's how that works. I apply it on my end, not that, and they don't do it on their end. Like they could have one way they do add penalty die is if they, if their gear is damaged, then they do lower their, if this guy's combat knife is -1 DR, then he has to take it either from the to hit or the damage. And if he takes it from the damage, then it's a dull knife. He could take it from the to hit and add a -1 DR there, which I would then just say take off a -1 from there, because you just have a dull bent knife and you're trying to use it. Whatever is a simple way of denoting that damage until he gets it repaired. So there's that. So again, the weapons are very similar to OSR's D&D. They got little extra, styles and things. For instance, if a combat knife does 4 points of damage, here under lethal, due to the small piercing aspect, if the number or more damage results after armor save, add a 1 die rank grievous wound. So to me, a knife can be very dangerous, right? Cutting someone. It also has a bleed 4. So if it does 4 points of damage on you, then with the bleed, you start bleeding one per turn, and one vitality per turn is enough for everybody to die pretty quickly as they're bleeding to death. So those are just the different things for style. They have different little things here, and this is the list of what it is. Okay, combat is like only a couple pages. I don't know if it's on here, but it's only a couple pages in the game. This is a fun thing. Denouement is very important in the Christian game. That as you're in combat, you're hoping that the enemy will start to retreat or give up, so that you can not murder hobo everybody, but your goal is to convert them, or at least get them to be peaceful, so that you could plant a church in the area. So denouement is a big part of the game, and they're always asking me if denouement is just, each turn is denouement. You gonna roll denouement now? I'm like, no, yeah, these things are still crazy and fighting you or whatever. But eventually I roll a denouement roll. Nat 1 foibles, different conversion levels, very important. I roll as a GM. I use this a lot for the non-player characters and what their attitude is. And if something is violently evil, like a bartender, that doesn't mean they're going to go and kill this person. It means they're if you annoy them, they're gonna stick, whatever is the most scariest thing in the round on you because they don't like you. That's how bad they are. They're part of a crime ring. They're part of the the police state, whatever. So they're no compunction. They will do that. So if I roll a 1 on them, obviously if I roll 8, the bartender is ready to be saved. He's ready to hear something nice and ready to be encouraged by it and be helpful. And it's random, who you encounter and for what reason. Obviously the number 1 violent evil, you want to try to convert them, but they get a big resist roll, or maybe if you decide they're not savable at all, they're just wicked. Okay, so that's sort of a simplistic way of looking at the Christian aspect of it. But that's the whole point of this game is for you to play, have fun, obviously, but the whole point is to evangelize, is to plant churches and then situate that and move on to the next adventure. So that's the game. In the simplistic terms, blessings are kind of like spells in D&D or whatever, but they're they make sense, right? The clergy can bless so that you can add die ranks basically to the other people. Like if you bless them, you can let me show you this real quick. This spell tool or whatever it's called. I hate to say it's not magic, but let's say you want to you have faith points, and faith points is how you spend, and you get them renewed every encounter. Or you get faith points for the day, and for the day is kind of, as a GM, I just sort of decide, is it for the day or is it for the week? Is it for when they're just resting? But you get a certain amount of faith points. And the reason I say that is because I don't want them to keep like regurgitating faith points when they're chilling and, during a rest period. During combat, they roll their faith points. You get your spirit, which is your wisdom, that many, plus if you have a skill in it, and you get to roll it. So if you have 5 die ranks in faith points, that's a D12. So you roll the D12 plus your spirit, and that's how many faith points you get for that immediate encounter. And then if you get 10 minutes of rest and you get another combat encounter, you get to re-roll and add a new set of faith points. But it's just your stress in the moment to call out to the Lord for help. And let's say you want to do a blessing. The deliverance is the amount of I'm just going to do a couple here. So I am spending here 7 faith points. If you can see this on the screen here, 7 faith points. Deliverance, delusion, duration. Duress and distance is optional, and duress isn't optional, but it's based. Duress is like how strong it is for resisting, but very few of the blessings are about resist. Because like charm would be an example that pagans use, right? Or magic. You've charmed someone, you want to add some to the duress to make it harder to resist. So you can do that. This plays into that. The other ones, and for Christians, one of these duresses would be preaching. You can make it stronger so that it's harder for them to resist it because it's so wonderful. Anyway, the deliverance, delusion, duration are the main ones, and deliverance is like if you want to bless your team as they're in the middle of combat and it's about to start, about to get down, and things are about to happen. You want to spend 7 faith points because you want deliverance 3, which it says D8 here, but you end up just giving them 3 die ranks, and then they decide what to do with how that works. But deluge is 2, so that means how many you affect, right? The deluge of your blessing. over the team is D6 here. Duration is how many turns, D6. So let's go ahead and roll this just for the fun of it. And so the deliverance I'm going to ignore only because you technically give them the D to 3 die ranks. But I kept it in there because, other things that will have deliverance for different reasons. Deluge, you affect 3. It says here on the rolls. So I rolled a 3. And then the 5 is the duration 5 turns. So for 5 turns, 3 of the players get plus 3 die ranks for their rolls. Because they're, may we fight for the Lord. And, basically the cleric is saying, in encouraging words, fight for the Lord and carry on our mission. Whatever it is, encouraging words. Hopefully the player will actually do it, whoever's playing the cleric. And then those characters will get those 3 die ranks for 5 turns, which would be cool. Those 3 characters. So that's how blessings basically work. You can, that could be for heal. It could be for, and obviously the paladin gets some cool ones. What I've done here, woman's touch is a unique thing for women only. And yes, I differentiate between men and women, and the women are not as strong as prowess, as the men, and can't be wielding battle axes. That totally BS. And so I want women to play like women, and I love it when men realize they got to step forward and fight, and the women step back and to be protected and then do their supporting roles. I love when I see men and women play that way in the game. It's real. I don't like it when women jump up and start swinging. It's so fakey, and you got to play it off. But it's fantasy. It's fantasy is about fighting epic, crazy things, but it's not about turning the characters into fantastical things. You're still wanting to hold on to reality, in the fantasy realm. Otherwise, it's stupid fantasy. This isn't stupid fantasy. It's good fantasy. Good fantasy is the men and men, women are women, and there's a reality to the people, whereas the fantasy is what they come up against, which is fantastical, or magical, or evil, or whatever. So that's me going through the game again, and how just epic. We're having a great time. Look at this. This is the spaceport they're at right now. This is in my book on the game, and how and obviously I went in and even added more after when the game was ready when we were ready to play it. But in the book, in my sci-fi galactic campaign, this is in there. Explains the basic overview of it all and what's going on and what they're doing and how they're dealing with things. Right now they're conspiring down here with the slaves. That's right. In my game, there are slaves because slaves are a big part of storytelling. Big part of paganism is slavery and conquest. And Christians are coming in saying, you don't need to conquest and slave people. You need to free them, liberate them. And that's what they're actually doing that right now in the story. They're talking to the slaves and saying, and the slaves want to actually go violently rebel against the Decanoids over here, who are the Guild of Three over here, because they've learned something horrible that the Guild of Three was doing to subjugate the slaves. But the Christians are trying to get them calmed down and try to do something else. Or I don't know what they're going to do, because they could wallow in violent revolution. They could mess up. But that's what I love about this game. You play as missionaries and you play making mistakes, and I want us to know that, and compromises and having to deal with things the way Christians missionaries probably had to deal with things in the past. You have to deal with the violent nature of everyone and try to get everyone to calm down and be civilized about it all. And that's what the church has always done in history. And today the church needs to revitalize. We need a revival of the church because it's getting crazy out there. And Europe is falling. America was about to fall, or was going that direction, but is, I think, hopefully turning around and getting revival. And I'm hearing a lot of Christians are reviving in Europe too. So there's revival there too. So praying for that for the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, and the Protestants. I'm happy with any of those, doing their thing. All right, that's my another little fun little blah 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 about For the Lord game. I really implore you to, as a Christian, to set aside the other games, D&D and OSR. I don't hate them, but I'm just going to be this way, contentious about it, because they all require us to give up our faith. They require us to give it up, to get along, to go along with their pagan role-playing. And you can say any god you want, just not Jesus in the game. But why can't we say Jesus? If you think Jesus is a fantasy, Why can't we do it? Well, it's a real world religion. Well, so is paganism. So is LGBT friendly. That's real world, and you're telling us we have to comply with that. But why do we have to give up Jesus or our faith in the role playing game culture? Why do they have all they attack the conquistadors, the Templars, the church, the Catholic Church? They attack all this openly, brazenly in entertainment and in RPGs, and in computer games. But we have to keep silent about Jesus Christ while they continually push paganism. And if you're wondering why the world is crazy and insane as it is, and people are dyeing their hair and getting fat, it's because we have voluntarily removed our Jesus Christ and our church from the culture. We have voluntarily done that, and that's why what I'm saying is we can just stop doing that. Bring the church, your faith, and your up front, publicly, into the games, because I love Jesus. I love playing, GMing. I'm the pagans, but I love GMing and playing pagans who convert, who are, what's this, Jesus? And or the angry atheist a-holes who fight against it. And then I love seeing the players play out their faith in it. And it's silly. We have fun. We do it light. It's very light and silly. So I'm imploring you to check out this game, because this game is about that. It's a fun, simple game. I'm open to help you, walk you through it if you need it. Anyway, all right, that's another little fun little thing. In the game of life, everybody, roll holy dice.